Hi, my name is Jessica Leake, and I teach British literature. I want to start out by saying I'm really, really sorry that I can't be there for open house tonight. I'm always there for open house every year. This is my first year in 8 years that I've never been to open house. But I'm starting a doctoral program, and the very first class is tonight, and it just happens to be at the same time as open house, and it's just horrible, horrible timing. And I hate that I didn't get to meet you guys in person, but I do want to apologize, and I want to give you at least part of what you would have experienced had I been there tonight. So here's what we would have talked about. So first of all, I want to thank you so much for just being here, listening to this, or if you were able to come to the school, for being able to come to the school, and also for answering the parent info sheet on the Google form that I sent out last week. I learned a lot of really incredible things about your kids, and I just really appreciate the enthusiasm and the fact that people are excited about getting involved and potentially working with us in the class and bringing something to the table for the kids to learn. So thank you so much for all of your support. It's so, so important, and I really appreciate everything that you do. The goals for tonight are to just give you a rundown of what we're going over in the class, and to explain my expectations for each of your children, and to let you know how you can extend some learning at home as well. So let's get started. So the British literature is a final literature class. All the 12th graders have to take it. It's really a culmination of everything that they've learned up to this point. And so we'll be reading a lot of literature from England, Great Britain, but we're going to do it a little bit differently this year. So I'm really excited. I've decided to change the way I teach British literature in its entirety, and over the summer I totally redid everything. So we're still going to read the literature and appreciate the literature for its historical value, but we're also going to look at it from the perspective of why did the author write this? Why did they write it the way they did? What does this tell us about their culture? How does this relate to things in our own culture? If this is a good effective piece to get an idea across or to be persuasive, then what techniques did the author use, and will those techniques transfer to modern times, and how can I use those techniques and build upon them? So my goal and my mantra for everything we do this year is make it relevant for them. Right now they don't necessarily appreciate the historical value of a text, but they appreciate the skills that they can learn that they can use in their own careers that they're planning for. We'll also read a lot of nonfiction. I've given you some of the standards here that we'll be looking at, involving reading and literature, listening, speaking, viewing, writing, conventions. If you look in the weekly newsletter that I sent out the first week of school, and then I sent one out this past weekend, I've given you a link to where you can access those standards, so you can check out exactly what we'll be doing in the class. And I've also given you the standards on Blackboard with every lesson, so you can see what standards each lesson is geared to build. So if you want to talk about that and extend that at home, then you know exactly where we are in class and what we're doing. Student compositions over the course of the semester will vary in type and will display understanding of a range of formats and audiences. We're going to have a ton of different writing experiences. We're going to learn to write analytically. We're going to learn to write narratives. We're going to learn to write some fiction. So it's going to, be a broad spectrum. But the main thing that I focus on with writing in the upperclassmen is creating that unique style and moving away from that formulaic essay if they can. So we're going to start working on that a little bit, and just experiencing different types of writing and seeing how other authors write things, and just starting to piece together each student's own unique style so that they sound like themselves in their writing. We'll also be doing a research project involving a TED Talk, and the kids and I just talked about that today. There will be more coming up about that in the weekly newsletter, so definitely ask your son or daughter about that, because they have a homework assignment that you might possibly be involved in, so definitely check in with them on that TED Talk research project. For grading, homework and class practice stuff is only 10%, and there will be a lot of that, because not a lot of homework, but a lot of class practice, because each standard that's listed, or the standards that are listed with each lesson, will give you an idea of what I'm going to be grading them on and what skills I'm trying to build. And so what we'll do is they'll get some practice with me, and then they'll practice with a group so they can have a support system, and then they'll start practicing individually. And when they're ready, and I feel like they've had enough instruction in that particular skill, then that's where the formative assessment comes in. That counts for 20%. And they'll show me that they've mastered that skill or those handful of skills. The summative assessments come in at the very end of the unit, whenever I've presented several skills to them and I want them to combine them all and show mastery of all of them. That's 30%. Research components, as always, are 20%. And every Thursday, we will drop what we're doing and have TED Talk Thursday, where we help the students prepare for their TED Talks that are their research project. And most of those Thursdays, they'll come home with a small homework assignment that's not very difficult to complete, but it's very essential to the whole project. And all of those grades that they get for those projects will go into the research category and kind of cushion their grade a little bit in case, God forbid, anything goes wrong on the actual research project. They have a little bit of cushion there. And then the final exam is 20%, and senior year is not a milestone course, so I'll be writing the British Literature exam for first and second semester. I post the homework on Blackboard and in the classroom, so you know what's going on. Occasionally there's going to be a discrepancy if I plan a little too much and I get excited and we don't get that far, or if I plan something but the class takes an interest in one particular thing we're talking about and we want to delve deeper, then it might change a little bit. But I'll always change that on Blackboard so that you can see and know exactly what is for homework and if the homework has changed. Students will have to read regularly for homework, because now that we have one-on-one, that gives them a great opportunity to access their ebook online and listen to the selections from the text. And any selections that aren't in the ebook, I'll put on my YouTube channel and I'll read it aloud so they can listen and read at the same time. And that way they can really absorb it, listen to it when they're in the right frame of mind, and listen to it as many times as they need to. So when they come back in the classroom the next day, we can actually have a good, solid discussion about what they read. Practice vocabulary on Membeam will be a regular assignment too. They should be doing that 3 times a week for 15 minutes. And what Membeam is really, really cool. You should try it out yourself. It's really neat. But the students set up their accounts today, and then they logged on and took a diagnostic. It said calibrate yourself. So they clicked on calibrate yourself and they took a diagnostic, and it decided where they were in their vocabulary acquisition, and it's going to build from there. So every student's going to be learning different words based on their skill set and where they are right now. So it'll be really, really helpful, because it helps them actually learn some words that they might use and incorporate in their everyday speech. So it's a really great thing for you to get involved in too, and see what words they're learning, and try to yourself make an effort to use those words in everyday conversation to help them acquire that new vocabulary. Every Friday, starting on 8/25, not this Friday, but this next Friday, we'll have a vocabulary quiz, and it'll all be on Membeam. So we'll have some time in class to work on this as time allows, but most of this will be done at home, and then they'll come in every Friday knowing that they're going to have a quiz, and it'll be different for every kid, because everybody has a different set of words that they're learning, and the website's just really cool. You really need to check it out with your child tonight. Students will also work on majority of their research project outside of class. That's the TED Talk project that we'll be working on as we go. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my voice is awful. I have a sinus infection. I'm just trying to get through this with the last little bit of voice I have. So I'm really sorry. I don't normally sound like this. But like I said, every Thursday we'll have TED Talk Thursday, and they'll have some little assignment to take home and work on. And then, of course, when we start getting into the meat of it and really getting down and dirty with what they're going to present and what they're going to talk about, that's when we'll be in our research unit, and we'll have a week or two where we just work on that. But they will have several little things they're bringing home once a week that they need to work on as well. This is arguably the most important part of this whole presentation, and that's how you can get involved. It's so, so important. And I really appreciate, it seems like every year parents are more and more willing and excited to be involved with their child's education, and I love it. It's just amazing. You guys are awesome. I've given you a link right here on how to log into Blackboard as a parent. So that'll take you to a Google Doc that'll show you how to do that. But if you're not super comfortable with technology and you just want some help walking you through it, just give me a call or send me an email. We'll set something up, and we'll sit down either together, or I'll give you a call on the phone, and I'll walk you through the process so that you're comfortable and you know exactly where everything is and you can see everything. So don't worry about that. Get in touch with me if you need help with that. Also, I send you a weekly newsletter at the beginning of each week. So I sent you a link here to the very first newsletter where you can see a little more about the class, a little more about me. My contact information is all right here. I've included a video where you can see what the classroom looks like and where some important parts of the classroom are. I'll also let you know what we're doing every week. So here's a link to the parent info Google form that I referenced earlier in the presentation. If you haven't seen that yet, or you haven't gotten a chance to do that yet, please do, because it really gives me as your child's teacher a lot of insight from your perspective, and gives me some good ideas on ways to help your children, and also some good ideas to maybe ways that if you wanted to get involved in the classroom, maybe we could bring your expertise into the room, and you could be a part of that learning experience as well. So please do fill that out. I'll include some weekly inspiration so you can kind of see what direction the class is headed in. I'll let you know a couple of things that we're reading this week that I think might be of interest to you, so you could maybe read, and I'll give you some talking points and ways to extend what we're doing in the classroom, ways to extend that learning at home and create some really meaningful interactions between you and your child that really build on what we're doing in class. Again, here's a link to how to get on Blackboard, and here's instructions to how to get on Infinite Campus. And I'll also give you the assignments that are due this week and looking ahead, what is going to come up in the next week. So just really want to keep you informed and involved with what we're doing in the room, and that way that you can be in the know. You can know what your child's doing in English class every day. The class rules are, as the bullet points state, they're pretty simple. Your kids have been so great so far. They're so sweet. They're very smart. I haven't had any real behavior issues at all so far. So your kids are really, really awesome. And I suspect that these rules will not be very much of an issue. For school policies, if you ever have any questions about absences, behavioral concerns, academic concerns, and you just want to know what the school's stance on something is, I've given you a link to the student handbook. It's also available on the website, but this will take you right to it. And if that doesn't answer your question, definitely feel free to call me or email me, and I will certainly try my best to find the answer to that question for you, and help you out. And this is where I would take questions from parents, but unfortunately I'm not there. So I don't want to just leave you hanging. I tried to cover as much as I could in a short amount of time for you, but I do want to answer any questions that you may have, or I want to talk to you about any concerns you may have about your child, or maybe you came to tell me something very particular about your child that I need to know this semester to best serve your child. So please do send me an email, give me a call, make contact with me one way or another. We can even meet face to face if you would like to do that. That would be awesome. So definitely ask away. And I really hate again that I missed this, and I can't wait to eventually meet you in person. And anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I hope this was somewhat helpful.